All right. So we have Jocelyn Picado here. She is my second mock customer for my product innovation, which is the Versa watch. I'm basically going to ask her again a couple of questions and give her basically a little pitch about the product, and then she's basically going to give me her feedback, and then you can basically comment on any of my social medias, contact me by email, things like that, and I'll tell you that at the end of the video. So, Jocelyn, basically my product here is the Versa watch, and basically it has all the key features of a regular smartwatch. So you can obviously have your text messages on there. It's connected to the iCloud, it has storage, things like this. But basically I have some key features and benefits that I added to my product to make it a little bit more innovative and a little bit more technology based. So on top of all those other features that it has, there's some simple features and there's some more complex features. Some of the more simple features are basically people like business presenters can use, such as the laser pointer and the video clip updater. One great for college students is the car diagnostic testing, which is compatible with any USB device that goes onto a car. So if you have a USB device for your car, basically you just plug it into the watch, and it gives a full diagnostic test on your car. If you have any issues in your engine, tire pressure, things like that, it'll tell you where the exact issue is, and it'll also give you a location of where to get it fixed for the cheapest price possible. One of the best innovations that I added to it is the hologram projection program. And that was basically developed by a team of engineers on my team. So basically what that entails is it's basically you can scan any product. So take for instance, we have Innovator's Guide to Growth. You basically just scan the barcode on this, and it would basically bring up an audiobook on here, and it would either read the audiobook to you or store it in your storage, which would go to your phone, then your PC, or wherever your storage device you wanted it on. Another part of the product scanning and hologram design that I added is, as you know, since you go to the gym, there's a lot of people who don't understand the concepts on how certain machines work and how certain compound movements work and how to perform them correctly. So basically the key feature on this is this basically scans either the machine or the machine or the lift that you're about to attempt, and it basically sends a projection guide and a simulation of how that certain movement is performed and how to correctly perform it without any injury, and the correct amount of sets, weight, things like this for your body type, which is already stored in the database. So with all those features in mind, there's also the health package, which I added, which is just an optional benefit for diabetics, people who have heart issues, things like this. And that's the InsaPump technology patent that I have on this. And basically, there's just a little insulin needle right here, and it basically by the hour monitors your blood sugar levels for diabetics, and then it gives you the correct amount of insulin needed for that certain point of your blood sugar. So it always keeps a fluid amount of insulin in your system at all times for diabetics. And this also cuts down costs of you don't have to carry around your insulin pump, you don't have to carry around your medication, prescription, things like this. And it's also a lot cheaper and a lot more effective, and that's cartridge based in the actual watch itself. The other key feature on the health options is this little device right here turns into a full-on defibrillator. So by just switching it on the back here, you basically just place it on your chest, and after having a heart attack, stroke, things like this, it'll automatically give you the defibrillation and reset your heart. So after hearing all of those key benefits and features on the new watch, I would love to hear your feedback.
I guess I'm more concerned on the first approach is, what if you don't like wearing watches? What if you don't want anything on your wrist? How can you make this product certain for someone that actually wants that kind of product that is so beneficial in so many attributes to be beneficial to them, but doesn't want to wear a watch? Something big, something like that has a lot of stuff in it. That's a big amount of weight, a big amount of material on your arm. I'm a small girl. I don't want all that material on my arm. What could you suggest to really do about that? I might want your product, but I don't want to wear a big watch on my wrist.
Are you asking me as a question to answer?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, all all of our watches come with what's called LW technology, and it just stands for lightweight technology. And basically, the amount of insulin that is needed is actually in a microgram container. So the actual weight of the watch itself is actually less than an actual, say, Apple Watch. It's actually lighter on the actual lighter on your actual wrist. And I mean, yes, so we can't appeal to everyone, but we do a lot of research and statistical analysis that relates that 83% of people actually do prefer wearing a watch when they go to the gym or out in public. So obviously we can't appeal to the entire market, but we try to appeal to the maximum amount of people as we can.
Okay, and now my next question is the more or less in the feedback of, you say that there's a needle in the watch so that it can actually put insulin into you. Well, if I don't need insulin, I'm not diabetic, can you get this watch in a different product so that it doesn't have the needle or the insulin storage?
Yep. Basically that is called the health feature package. So the health feature package either comes with both the heart health and the diabetic health programs, which is obviously the cartridges and the defibrillator package, or it comes with, you can get them periodicized, which you can either get the insulin package or the heart package, or you can get the base product itself, which has all the other key features without the actual programming of like the blood sugar monitor, things like this for diabetics, and the blood pressure monitor for heart patients. So it's actually makes that less weight on top of that as well. So it's just an option, I should say. It's a package option. It doesn't have to be on it.
And with that package option, how can you really confirm to me that that insulin is safe? What if I have a child or I have someone that's under me and maybe grab the watch? Is that needle secured? When does it come out? How do you know that it comes out? What do you do to be able to have that needle ignition to give you insulin? Can my child get to that?
Okay. So basically every time you refill the cartridges, it's basically just everything for the heart package and the diabetics package is a fingerprint-based program. So if it's not your fingerprint going onto the actual watch itself, you can't access any of those. Features, unless the only thing you can do is you can have an allow platform, and basically that gives you 5 other people who can access that watch at that time. So say you're with somebody else and obviously you're having a heart attack, you can't get to it. People who have it in their database, or if it confirms an identity through an IP address and it does a background check, only then can they access it through a fingerprint. So obviously it wouldn't access from anybody who's under the age of 18, first off.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad that you actually moved to that point and discussed into that information, because my next question actually involves more or less into the watch on the AED process. In an AED process, you usually put the patches on to the body, and then you put the electrical current throughout the body. Usually when you do an AED process, you go clear and you back up. Metal is a huge conductor of electricity. How can you tell me that being a metal watch or whatever it is made out of is going to be safe for anybody? And for you to put yourself against your heart and say clear and be able to do your own heart shocking to yourself, it sounds more or less like this isn't for you, this is for someone else to have their fingerprints on it. I guess I'm just more concerned on, is that a really well choice to really make with it? The insulin is great, but on the AED, taking your own watch, which is probably made out of metal, and putting it against your body, and your body-to-body contact, when anybody that has been taught in CPR would say AED on, and the AED machine says ready, set, charged, clear, and everybody backs away. Why would you have somebody here to be during that clear process?
Okay, so basically that's a really good question, and we get that a lot. Basically, first of all, to answer the first question on what it's made out of, the watch is actually completely 100% fiberglass, which is not electromagnetic. So it doesn't increase the impulse, and it doesn't increase the actual electromagnetic pulse from the watch. So anybody within a 10-yard radius cannot, get radiation or anything from it. So it actually wouldn't affect anybody around you. As for putting onto yourself, that's a little bit of a different story. We are still formatting that as to how that's really benefiting the cost ratio benefit in terms of that. We do find that most people in the event of a heart attack would basically have it and be able to put it on someone else and not be at risk, since the fact that it's made out of fiberglass, and they could just put it like this and then they'd be out of harm's way onto their chest. But in terms of
So the watch does not have to be on the person's wrist to perform
no,
this.
no. It completely comes off.
But it's personalized to your fingerprint.
It's personalized to your fingerprint or anybody within an IP address who goes through the background check through the system, which takes about 3.5 microseconds.
Do they have to have a certificate?
They have to be AED certified, yes.
Okay, now the problem is what if you have a family member that is not AED certified and their mother or father starts having a heart attack and they're on the floor and they have this watch for the beneficial aspects of it, but they can't do anything because who knows by the law attribute of it if they could be sued or not.
And okay, so that part is where most of our analysis is going right now. The problem, the one format we are going with is that if you have a family member, which is actually what we're looking into, if you have a family member, they can actually utilize your fingerprint with the DNA scanner. So they can basically put your fingerprint onto the watch by taking it off of you and put your fingerprint on it, and then use it. Because obviously it's non-electromagnetic, so it actually makes it safe for them to use too. And there's also obviously an instruction manual, because you do have about 30 to 40 seconds in terms of when you need to use the defibrillator and when it actually comes into use and stops working. So there are a few things we're looking into. We don't have all the questions answered yet, but we're definitely doing extensive research on that.
So more or less, Ben, what are you trying to tell me about your product? You're just notifying me about your product and kind of explaining it, or are you trying to put this product on the market? Or is it on the market?
No, it's in no way on the market yet. We're still in analysis testing, beta testing yet. Well, you probably won't see this on the market for maybe even a year, 2 years. But we definitely want to get it out there that we are creating solutions to certain minuscule problems, but in the grand scheme of things, they are large problems, and we can definitely solve some of them with the use of this watch. So.
And do doctors recommend this, or do they feel that this is kind of different? And the only reason why I say that is because even with the AED certified for family members that are fingerprinted with the watch, well, the person that has that watch, do they have to be AED certified? Because technically, someone that is not AED certified should not be using something that is AED electrical equipment.
Correct.
So, on that sense, do you have to be AED CPR certified adult and child to actually buy this product?
Yeah. So when you basically what we're looking into is at the checkout. Before you do a checkout, you actually get a background check. Which basically checks for an AED certificate. And if you don't do have an AED certificate, we actually give a course through online that basically AED certifies you, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours, and you have to do a 50-question multiple choice test at the end of it in order to even be able to buy the watch.
Now, my only question is online really the way you want to go about it? If anybody's in person having these kind of problems, I would suggest more of a person-to-person kind of contact for a CPR, AED kind of ritual, even on a dummy. You want them face-to-face, because just because you take it online does not mean that you will know what to do in a person-to-person standby.
So to that, basically we do feel that an online class is sufficient. In a recent poll, 37% of medical doctors are actually only certified for some of the practices online. So, and that's worldwide. So we do feel that online is sufficient in terms of our course and how we designed it with our medical staff. But if you want to do the person-to-person training, you're more than welcome to go do it. We actually are willing to cover 30% of the training too. That's another benefit you get out of it. Even if you don't end up buying the watch at the end, we do cover 30% of an AED training class.
Excellent. So you said 37% of the doctors nationwide, worldwide, do agree with this, and they have online courses. How many percentage of the doctors actually agree with your product, that it will be beneficial to the society?
Our polling system right now is actually doing a poll right now, which we have about 1,000 participants so far. And unfortunately, we're only able to get about, I think, 67 of those people actually in the medical field, so they're not even doctors or PhDs. They're actually maybe just RNs, things like that, but they're not a CNA or anything like that. They're registered. But we're definitely trying to expand our demographic in terms of getting more medical input on the device, which is why, like I said, we're only in beta testing and we have a lot to work on before we actually get the product out to market.
So if you've barely talked to any doctors really, and it's more medical field with nurses and so forth, how can you be so sure of the 37% that take online courses? What source did you use to find that information?
That was a statistical analysis on WebMD, which went through Mayo Clinic. So basically, it just was a poll that 37% of doctors are only certified in certain practices online. They don't not say they believe in the online courses. They're just only certified through online classes themselves. It's basically just like as innovative as say a college campus. College campuses are increasing the number of online classes they offer by the day, and that's just because not only does it allow introverted people to basically take classes because they don't like unfortunately they don't like the human interaction, but it still allows them to get the educational purposes out of it. But like I said, yeah, we're trying to get more medical input as much as we can. I'm more on the side of we need at least in the U.S. alone, we need at least a poll of about 10,000 doctors to really give any credible knowledge input on it. Obviously, we're not close yet, but which is why I go back to we're still in the beta testing process.
And how would you legally defend this watch if someone else was to have a heart attack that did not have one of these watches? And for instance, if I did and I saw a bystander having a heart attack and I used my finger to defibrillate that person back, how would you legally give me the right to do that? Do you think that's more based on the Good Samaritan Act,
Yeah.
or how will you even incorporate that watch into the Good Samaritan Act? Because that is not humanly possible. Good Samaritan laws are me humanly possibly trying to survive someone. Something with a mechanical device or equipment is, I guess, on the skew of what could be right, what could be wrong. So how could you legally sustain that as being okay with bystanders?
Unfortunately, for me, I can't answer that question for you. Unfortunately, because that's my legal staff. I don't handle any of the business law practices. I handle product innovation, marketing, creative innovation, things like this. I wish I had more of a business law side of me. But unfortunately, I just know the things that I can and can't do in terms of patent technology and things like this. But I'm sure my law staff has a answer for you. I would love to send you to contact with them because then they can tell you the answer. Because I want you to have all your answers. Obviously, that's definitely the reason I'm here. I'm trying to get as much feedback as I can. But yeah, like I said, I personally cannot answer that question, but I'm sure my law staff could.
And my last question for you. On something like this, with every single good American that lives in this country and every single other person here that are here, legally, illegally, so forth, that could possibly buy your product, how much would you think that you would put your product on for sale? How much would it be?
A price point?
Yes.
That really depends on what we're thinking. We're either going to go a wholesale route, which would mean that the product is available through certain companies like Amazon. They would supply it as well, but they would do the same process in terms of all the certifications and such before buying. You'd have to do all that through them too. Or we might go the premium route, and you can only buy directly from us. Unfortunately, if we do the premium route, we're definitely going to have to charge a much higher margin. You know today that a lot of the base even Apple watches, I'm just using it as an example, Apple watches can be upwards of $250, $300 for just simple watches. But we have to understand that having simulation craft and hologram technology is incredibly ahead of our time. So anything that's going to incorporate this is going to require a lot of input, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of technology that we are just beginning to understand. So if you want a number, which I'm sure you do, we're probably looking anywhere into the $800 to $900 range.
So how would you benefit minorities and people more towards the poverty line that have these health issues?
Fortunately, as I said before, we can't appeal to everybody. We will do certain aspects such as giveaways and things like this where we give away. When we first come out with the product launch, what we want to do is every state we want to give away 100 to 250 watches just to everybody so they can try them out. But obviously we have to go through the certification process and we have to figure out who's eligible, liable, things like this. Unfortunately, when you get into the demographic of proverbial lines and things like this, a lot of those people don't spend the time or unfortunately don't have the money to invest in things such as certifications and things like this because they're more manual labor-based jobs. But fortunately, they do have certifications through some of those manual labor jobs. And that's where we'd have to look for in terms of getting them to be able to try the product and innovating the product through them. But in terms of how we're going to get it to them, unfortunately, it is a premium product that we're coming out with. We can't appeal to everybody. And that's unfortunately something we have to look into, how to appeal to a lower cost consumer base. And that consumer base maybe in the future, we may come out with, I'm not going to say a knockoff of the original product, but we may come out with, say, the watch that has these key features with the health package, but we offer it for a less cost or their leasing options that we might do.
Well, you think that'd be just most common if you just want the watch for the watch, it would be how much, but if you added the health benefits, how much would it be?
Okay, so the health benefits are going through your medical data. So we're gonna have to use insurance for that. That's gonna be a lot of insurance.
So it is based with health insurance.
Yeah, it's health insurance is going to play a role. So if you do want, there are going to be ways where your watch can get covered through medical insurance if you have those packages on. But that's going to be a broken down form of the watch in terms of it might not have like the laser pointer on them, things like this of the other technology, car diagnostic. But at that point, you're buying the watch for the health benefits. So if you're going to utilize medical insurance, you want it for the medical reasons. So being able to cover that, we're going to 100% accept medical insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, anything like that. So.
And what about people on medical care and Medicaid?
As I said before, unfortunately, we cannot accommodate everybody, but we're working hard in terms of trying to accommodate the vast majority.
And then you giving away 100 to 200 watches to each and every single state. Mm-hmm. Do you choose which classes get this? The wealthy, mm-hmm. the middle, or the poor class? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're choosing who gets these watches?
Not necessarily. We're actually creating an algorithm right now that's going to basically take the people who score the highest, or it's not a pass-fail type thing. We're actually going to take a combination of statistical analysis on people who are registered in a certain area who tend to encounter these issues the most, and we're going to try to source our product there first. But yeah, we're going to try to get it in demographics all over the state.
So you're going to kind of deviate how many you actually give away.
Deviate to the point where we want the watch to go to places where it's going to be utilized the most. Yes, we're going to do that.
Okay, well, if it's going to be utilized the most, how do you think you're going to sell the most product to those places? As if mostly anybody that actually needs them already has them.
If someone has our product already?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that won't be possible because that'll be on the launch day.
But you've already given out a few. Mm-hmm. You've already given out actually a couple hundred. Mm-hmm. So if you're already giving out a couple hundred and I mean, I'm sure that people will want more. Put it this way, I guess my more or less question is how are you going to profit from an $800 to $900
So what's
product?
our profitability?
And
business
you're
model?
just going to give
Okay.
a couple hundred to people,
Right.
each state, each place. How are you going to profit from that?
Well-
Because if you times that over your ratios, and mind you, I'm asking you from the business prospect that you are actually majored in, how do you think you're going to profit, and how long will it take you to actually profit from your profit?
For statistics alone, we will not be profitable for the first 2 months. In the third month, we estimate to profit about anywhere from 500 to 3.9 million in the third month.
And how can you be so sure?
Data, basically data through polls, testing, things like this that we haven't analyzed large groups, but from the relatively restricted groups that we have tested, we've found that our product would definitely do.
Limited statistics is limited profitability
Limited
and limited
correct.
results.
Correct.
So you can't take a grain of rice and expect the whole entire pot of rice to be good.
Correct.
So it
Good
sounds more or less like you have a lot more testing to do
Yes.
with people.
Yes, that's 100% correct, and we want to focus a lot of that too. Like I said before, on medical professionals too. We want to get their input as much as possible.
Now, do you actually go to hospitals and ask these doctors? How do you message these doctors?
My marketing staff is more in tune for that.
Your marketing staff does? Now, your legal department does not contact these doctors?
It's a combination. It's a relatively strict. We don't like to get into a little behind the scenes type stuff. We like to keep that kind of.
I'm just making sure that you were going to be good to go on the whole realm. You got the walnut,
we're covered from
but
every
you
aspect.
have to make sure the nut inside is actually covered.
Right, yeah, we're covered from every aspect if you're asking from that point of view.
Well, covered on every aspect, then your product would be out on the shelves right now, wouldn't it?
Covered on every aspect in terms of legal environment, marketing, things like that. In terms of our product being 100% ready to hit the market, we don't think so yet. And we don't even think people are ready for it yet. So.
It is. It's an insane technology. It's something that you're definitely thinking about. Cars are going to be flying in the air.
It is.
So, other than that, I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you again.
This has been Jocelyn Picado. Once again, I'm Justin Giordano, business and entrepreneurship major at Bradley University. If you need to contact me, you can get a hold of me at jgiordano@mail.bradley.edu or contact me via any of my social media platforms. I hope everyone has a great day. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and a share. Thank you. Have a great day. All right, guys. So here is a interview with one of my potential customers for my marketed innovation of a redesign of a product, which is my Versa watch. So I'm going to basically tell Dane, give him a little pitch about it, and get a little feedback from him so you guys can hear from him. So here we go. So Dane, basically what I did is I reinvented the watch. And basically I put some key features on it. It's basically a smartwatch. So it'll do everything a smartwatch can do, tell time and all that stuff, but I added a couple key features. And one of which is the health package option, which basically includes, obviously this isn't going to go for you, but it's a pump technology patent. And basically what it does is it administers a certain amount of insulin for diabetic users when they need it, so they don't have to carry around their insulin pump or their insulin shots throughout the day, and they can just have it at the palm of their hands. The other part of that package, the feature that you get is the defibrillator. So basically you press the button right here on the right, and it basically turns into a defibrillator that you just place on your chest and give it a pulse, and it'll start a heart back after a heart attack. Okay. The next couple of features are just basic ones. One's a laser pointer, so basically for like presentations and such, should help with that. Another is a diagnostic. It runs a full diagnostic if you have a USB compatibility with any car, so you can see if there's something wrong with the engine, and it'll tell you exactly what it is. And it stores it in your storage on the phone, then onto your phone your watch and onto your device, PC, whatever. Let's see what else. The other thing was the biggest one for you was it has hologram projection. So basically, what this is you're gonna press a little button here on the right, and it basically scans any product or machine. So basically, you can scan a book, and it'll bring it up from anywhere on the internet, and it'll automatically read you the audiobook version of it.
Wow.
And then the other hologram projection feature is you can scan any kind of equipment at the gym, and basically, there's a lot of people who do certain lifts wrong on certain machines. So basically, it brings up a hologram projection here, and it'll show you and simulate how to do that exercise correctly. So from everything that you've learned in the features, do you have any feedback for me?
Yeah, well, I think the health benefits are like an extreme importance because it can end up saving people's lives, which could be huge, or obviously is huge. But then the whole hologram thing, that's just that's what would appeal to me. That's the good thing about this watch is it can appeal to all kind of people. Where that's what I would be most interested in, the whole gym holograph kind of idea that you just said. I feel like that's a great idea. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they have all this advanced stuff, and they have like the laser pointer. I don't know if you want.
Yeah, I understand. That's good feedback. For sure.
But I feel like with all these different options that you could have, like it appeals to basically the whole spectrum of age of people that you are going to be pitching them to. So I feel like you can sell it to basically anyone.
Right.
So yeah.
And last question, in terms of design and features as a standpoint of how it looks, do you think it looks appealing to the eye?
Oh yeah, that one for sure.
Okay.
But for me, like I think the majority of watches are attractive for decent looking. There's only a few ones that I don't think are, but so for me, I think you can't really go wrong with the appeal if it looks like a standard watch.
Right.
But obviously, this can be pretty advanced, so it looks like it has the advanced kind of look to it. I feel like that would kind of make it more viable.
Yeah. Okay.
Appealing.
Awesome. Well, once again, this has been Dane Zarnowski as my first potential customer. If you need to contact me, you can reach me at jgiordano@mail.bradley.edu.